What's up, everybody? My name is Big Cam. Welcome to the last Comically Boston podcast of the year. And as you guys know, on Mondays I do the weekly nerdy news and brush up on everything that happened over the last week. Now, there wasn't a whole bunch of news. There was some things I want to talk about, but not a whole lot because it was Christmas and there wasn't a whole lot going on in the news side of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down just a brief little bit of news that I want to talk about and chat about, and then I'm going to do a full recap of season 3 of What If, and it is the final season of What If, and it has come to a close. I don't know if it will be a full, the show is done and never coming back, or if it's more like this 3 seasons following Uatu the Watcher and Captain Carter. Maybe their arc in What If is done, and maybe in the future they'll come out with more What If, because I feel like the What If, show has so much untapped potential and really can be one of those shows that goes forever and just is a bunch of random different shit all the time, and that's, where it can thrive. But we'll talk about What If at the end of today's episode. Let's get right on into the news. First up, I want to talk about Happy Gilmore 2. There was a teaser trailer released and there was an image released of Shooter McGavin and Happy Gilmore face to face after all these years. I believe it's maybe 30 years, something like that, almost 30 years. And they're facing off again, coming back to do Happy Gilmore 2. And this is going to be exclusively coming to Netflix in 2025, so that's very exciting stuff. Can't wait to see that. I know everyone probably loves Happy Gilmore 1 and probably never thought it was going to get a sequel. It's sad that Chubbs won't be in it because not only Carl Weathers died in real life, but Chubbs died in the first movie, so that's kind of shitty. But, it is what it is. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers, you legend. On to my next topic at hand. Christopher Nolan, right, over the last couple weeks of weekly nerdy news, in actually probably a couple months, we've been talking about random different castings. Tom Holland, Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Matt Damon, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, all cast in Christopher Nolan's next film. But now we know that its brief idea of what it might be, and it's going to be an adaptation of the Odyssey, the Homer and the Odyssey, and that old Greek epic poem by Homer, and it's going to tell the story of the Odyssey's journey home after the Trojan War, and that just seems very interesting place to set the film in Christopher Nolan. And then the cast is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So I've never read the Odyssey, so I'm sure there's people that know all about that and can predict more about what the movie might be about. But as far as just a consumer of media, this looks like it's going to be exciting. And I mean, Christopher Nolan coming off of Oppenheimer, pretty sure he won Best Director, Best Picture for that. He's going to be charging full head of steam towards this movie, and it seems like it's going to be coming out in 2026, filming in 2025. 2026 is going to be a huge year for movies. Now, 2025 was supposed to be a big year for movies, but it looks more like things have changed because The Batman 2, that was supposed to originally come out in 2025 and then got moved because the script wasn't done and it was going to film next year, come out in 2026, has officially been delayed to October 1st of 2027. So there will be 2,038 days between the two Batman films. Now, The Batman 2 is delayed. Is this a terrible thing, or is this just a slightly bad thing? To me, it's only delayed because Matt Reeves has not finished the script, and if he needs more time to narrow down and really make this script perfect, he can take all the time he wants, because I don't think the Batman getting spaced out and giving it the time it needs is a bad thing, right? I would rather them give it time than rush it and it become this bad thing that people hate, So it's funny that Robert Pattinson now is going to have done 2, 3, maybe 4 films in between these movies, but it is what it is. He'll hopefully be in great shape and in the mood to get back into the bat suit after all this time. But does this also give the possibility to maybe get a Penguin Season 2 out before Batman? Maybe. maybe it's, you know, HBO does want to capitalize on the success of Penguin and do that again, and they are in talks to do that. Colin Farrell's Penguin, maybe it's the success of the Penguin is what's pushing him back, because now maybe Matt Reeves is going, well, I didn't expect the Penguin to be that successful. Maybe I need more Oscobb, because it had been said that he only has about 6 to 7 scenes, which in probably a 2-3 hour movie is probably a 300 scene movie, you know, like, it's not a whole lot of Penguin. So maybe after that success, maybe the Penguin's going to play a bigger role, maybe Kristen Miliotti's Sophia Falcone plays a bigger role, Theo Rossi, you know, maybe he uses these pieces rather than what he was going to do. So maybe he's, you know, refitting this a little bit and making it work better with the show, you know, making those two things connect. I don't know. Comment below your thoughts. Do you think that this gap between movies is a bad thing, or it's going to hinder the movie? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So the CEO of Sony Pictures, Tony Vinciquerra, said that the Kraven the Hunter is the worst launch that they've had for a film since he became CEO in 2017. And he goes, quotes, I still don't understand, because it's not, the film is not a bad film. Then he went on to say, well, even if we did put out another movie in this universe, it would, if it was good or bad, it would get destroyed by the critics and by the press. And he blamed the press and the, you know, social media of it all on why this movie did bad and didn't perform well. He's like, I just don't understand. The movie's not that bad. I think all of us said the movie wasn't that bad. And I think you find on the internet about 3 million examples on people not being in the press. Like, I'm not press. I am a consumer. I am the audience, right? Like, I am as close as a fan to this stuff as you could possibly get before you're press. You know what I mean? Like, and I went to see this movie on my own money, you know, went and saw it day one in theaters. I didn't think it was all that bad a movie, but I wasn't able to enjoy myself because Sony completely has ruined the movie-going experience of what these characters are, right? Like, you can't promise an audience one thing or in the trailer and then tease Spider-Man just, you know, 6 times in a row. Like, how many times do you think you're gonna fool us into being fools, right? Like, you can only be so foolish going to these theaters and having hope that Sony's gonna do good, and then by the end of it, Sony sucks, right? Like, this year alone, they released 3 films, and all 3 of them, I guarantee, didn't gross as much money as Deadpool 1, or Deadpool and Wolverine did. And that was the only thing that Marvel put out this year. Yeah, granted, it's Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, much bigger characters than Madam Web, Venom, or Kraven the Hunter. But I guarantee you, if you put Spider-Man and Kraven the Hunter, that's a bigger movie. If you put Spider-Man and Venom 3, that's a bigger movie. Fuck it, if you put a different Spider-Man, not even Tom Holland, right? Like, if you put Tobey Maguire in Madam Web, if you put Andrew Garfield in Venom, and then you put Miles Morales as a brand new cast in Kraven, right? Like, people still would have been interested in that, although they would have been confused and still like, what the fuck's going on here? At least you wouldn't have got the Morbius post-credit scene with Vulture, and then they put that out into the public and just like, oh, people won't mind. Everyone minded. Everyone was confused. Everyone was like, Sony, what are you doing? You're trying to connect yourself with Marvel shit. You suck. We know you're not connected with them. What's going on here? And then it just doesn't pay off, and not like, and then before Kraven even comes out, they go, oh, the universe is done. So now you're going, oh, the movie didn't perform well. Well, before it even released into theaters, you said there's no point to go see it. So yeah, it's done, but go ahead, go see the movie. You just told everyone there's no point into going to see this, and now you expect people to go see it? And then you put out this movie. Kraven the Hunter was supposed to be put out October of 2023 and didn't come out until Christmas of 2025. It was done and shot and ready to be released October of 2023. Venom 3 filmed, edited, and came out before Kraven the Hunter did. And you're wondering why Kraven is bad? Maybe people from 2023 were going, oh my god, Kraven's just now coming out? That has to be awful. And there was people in the theater laughing at it and not with it, right? Like, that is not what you want. And for Sony's CEO to not understand what went wrong here, Sony needs to go under. And this guy, Tony, I've never met him. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He sucks at his fucking job if he doesn't know what's going on here. And he really, really needs to get a reality check. And they clearly need to pivot hard, because even if they do pivot hard, the only thing that Sony is putting out that people actually enjoy is the PlayStation and fucking that animated Into the Spider-Verse, which the only reason Sony has anything to do with that is because they own the name Spider-Man. But we all know that Into the Spider-Verse movies are not good because they're Sony owned, right? Like, we know this. But Sony thinks, oh, well, we own it, so that's why it's good. They're retarded, I promise you. But I can't go on talking about Sony anymore, or I'm going to have a fucking palpitation or something. So, moving on to the next topic at hand. The last topic of today for the news section before we just dive into what if is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man comes out in an animated series. Just dropped a teaser trailer yesterday, and I was going to react to it and edit it, but I figured there were so many things that came out last week that I had to catch up on. So we're going to focus on what if today. If you want me to react and break down the little trailer for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, comment those things down below. If not, January 29th into almost the end of January into February, we will be covering Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on the channel. And this originally was supposed to be Tom Holland's freshman year, but then they realized they were painting themselves too much into a corner and putting way too many limitations on their character, because they had to fit into what the mold of the MCU and Tom Holland's mold. So what they ended up doing is, this is an alternate universe Spider-Man. Like, he's completely different. They have an Oscorp in his MCU, and it's Norman Osborn, but he's black, and he's going to be voiced by Colman Domingo. That alone is an interesting little twist where you're like, huh. For me, I always grew up thinking Willem Dafoe was Norman Osborn. Never thought it would ever be someone not looking like Willem Dafoe. And his crazy ass and his laugh, you know? To have like a cool, slick Colman Domingo voicing this character, I hope I get to see him one day in live action. That seems cool as hell. And he's posing a picture here with Captain America. Very interesting stuff. So, Norman's black, so this must be Harry Osborn, Peter's best friend. Very interesting there as well. I'm gonna be very interested to see if Harry becomes a villain of some sorts, like a Hobgoblin or the Green Goblin's Jr., you know, like Dave Franco did back in the day. But at the very end of this teaser, it was very interesting to me that they showed this white-suited Spider-Man, and I was like, whoa, this isn't going to be connected to our Spider-Man at all. This is going to be a completely different one, and maybe he'll tie in the future, or maybe he'll just be his solo animated show and just run with that, you know? I don't know if this is going to be geared towards kids more, but either way, it seems very interesting. I mean, the animation style seems like a comic book, but not necessarily a old school comic book, like a new school, like real sharp color and pictures. Like, I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like when it comes out. Alright, so let's talk about What If Season 3. They have officially wrapped on the 3 seasons of What If, and this final season had 8 episodes, and they were each pretty good, and they each released these posters counting down from 8 to the final episode, one final watch. There was, you know, interesting things going on in this. I don't necessarily know if I like the release of per day releases from 22nd to the 29th, and now it's Monday the 30th, and it's over, you know, like, and people could have waited this week, probably haven't seen it at all, and then just binge it later. I don't know. To me, this wasn't the best season out of the 3. The seasons were still kind of weird to me for some reason. Like, I didn't necessarily buy in fully to any one of the seasons. I mean, there was some great episodes throughout. I mean, the Star-Lord T'Challa episode was great in season 1. The What If Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands was a great episode. Season 2, 1807 or something like that, 1608 or something like that, with the Wanda. I mean, season 1 there was like a zombies episode that was pretty decent. That's going to get a full Marvel Zombies show for itself. In this season 3, the episode titles go, The Hulk Fought the Mech Avengers, Agatha Went to Hollywood was episode 2, The Red Guardian Stopped the Winter Soldier, that was a pretty great episode, Howard the Duck got hitched. That's a funny episode. What if the Emergence destroyed the Earth? So like a Eternals themed episode, right? So they're tying in much more of like phase 4, phase 5 into this What If season, which was cool to see some of those faces. Like Moon Knight was in one of the episodes, Agatha, you know, the Eternals. Episode 7 was What If 1872. That was interesting. That was the Cowboy, Shang-Chi, and Kate Bishop episode. And then episode 7 was What If the Watcher Disappeared, setting up the finale, What If, What If? And the ending was really, really solid, right? Like, I loved how it ended, right? And it ended, right, because episode 7 and 8, episode 7, because the Watcher disappeared at the end of the episode previous, episode 7 started in the intro, didn't sound like the rest of the intros, right? Because the Watcher was the one voicing over and narrating the intro. So that one in the end, you know, the 7 and 8, they don't have an intro, and you're kind of like, oh damn, I didn't realize I missed the intro. And then at the end of episode 8, episode 8, at the very end of that episode, it ends with the intro, but now it's an outro. And I was like, that's a great little twist on that ending. But I will say the first episode with the Mech Avengers was the one that dragged out the most, and he ends up facing like a Godzilla-sized Hulk. And, you know, it's interesting. But the most interesting part of it was like there was this 80s animation of like the old school Avengers. And then if the animation style was just in that style, this would have been sick. But what we ended up getting was still pretty cool. He gets like this Power Rangers suit up moment, and they all come together and they have to fight. And, you know, you get to see all the people together, and it's like Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, Kate Bishop, I think. There was a bunch of people here. You could see that it's clearly a whole bunch of people that come together to form this thing. And, you know, it's just interesting that like Moon Knight was in there. You got Sam Wilson's Cap, you know, and all the other ones all combining together to be this giant mech to defeat them. And then it ends up coming down to it, and Sam Wilson, you know, goes face to face with this giant Hulk creature and goes, hey, listen, you've never been a monster to me. I just see my friend, you know, and he doesn't show fear. And it was a sweet little moment, but it was also like, damn, this episode just kept going and going. Agatha's episode where she turns into a giant celestial is pretty awesome. She fights Arishem the Judge, like Eternals tie-ins, her and Kingo. You also get Howard the Stark and Jarvis from back in the day. That was kind of cool. The Red Guardian Bucky episode was pretty freaking awesome. I can't wait for Thunderbolts to see these two together and how they interact. And this episode was the only episode this season that didn't feel like this season, and I believe that's because this episode was supposed to come out last season, so this was like the first one they had ready. So the next episode, What If Howard the Duck Got Hitched? The whole premise of this is that Howard and Darcy the Duck got married, and they had a little egg, and the egg hatched into this birdie, and she is this little baby birdie. In the next episode, or a couple episodes go by, and we get to find out that Birdie is actually Natasha Lyonne, and she is, right, like, they don't just keep her as a baby, right? They hatch, and then a couple episodes later, she's fully grown, and it's like, yeah, that's a cool way to be like, hey, remember that character that's their parents? This is what she's like in real life. And I don't think they could have done it any better getting Kat Dennings and, what is it, Seth Green to be Howard the Duck and Darcy, and then their daughter, like, what does that create is Natasha Lyonne. Like, the voice couldn't be better. And Birdie kind of looks like Natasha Lyonne, but she also has badass powers. She has wings that can come out. She's cool, man. She's a freaking cool little half-bird duck human thing. What if the Emergence destroyed the Earth? This was like a Riri Williams episode, and she like becomes White Vision at one point. Interesting. It was also like a Mysterio, what if Mysterio ruled the planet type of thing. And it was dark, but it was also pretty cool. The following episode was the Shang-Chi Kate Bishop episode, set in the West. Like, you know, it kind of had Shanghai Noon vibes, but I think the characters people want to see most since Phase 4 is definitely Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop. So to see them together was awesome. And to see Kate Bishop, you know, wielding a 6-shooter and pew 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 was just so cool, man. Haley Steinfeld's awesome. The second to last episode, What If the Watcher Disappeared? Introducing the other 3 Watchers that take the Watcher, but introducing this team of women with Birdie, Storm being the mighty Storm, right? So she's got Thor's powers, Captain Carter and Cohorty, and then the 5th member of their team was Infinity Ultron, right? Like, whoa, like this team was sick. And I mean, just seeing Storm in a not X-Men project, but still the same person that voiced Storm was so awesome. And see her be the mighty Storm was so cool. Like we didn't know we needed it, but we did. And then the finale was pretty dope, but you know, it had these 3 Watchers that, you know, were trying to oppress these powers onto them, and then the Watcher makes them the Watchers, and then they were called like the Exiles or something like that. And then Peggy ends up saving the day, and at the end, the way that Brad Winderbaum, I believe that's his last name, the way that the director of Marvel Animation was talking about this, I expected it to tie into live action a little bit more than it did. It ended feeling kind of more like an end, and like a maybe we'll come back, maybe we won't. But I expected this to lead into a little bit more like, this could happen in live action. Like, why couldn't it? But they do end up, that team of women end up saving the day and saving the Watcher, and Uatu ends up becoming the man and ends up claiming the name Uatu the Watcher. I'm not just a Watcher, I'm Uatu the Watcher. So hopefully that means Jeffrey Wright can come into live action at one point. I would love to see his Watcher. But they did end the series with a series of very, very interesting concept art, I'm guessing is what we can call it. But the first one is a samurai horseback Ghost Rider. I mean, I didn't know they could use that. That was cool. I mean, they probably wanted to, and for most of these, but they just couldn't or didn't. So maybe they're saving it for later. Maybe if there's enough hype for these, they'll bring it back, but I don't know. The top right, you can obviously see the Ghost Rider Samurai I was just talking about. You have a Spider-Man variant in the top left. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's like an 8-armed Spider-Man, like a an accurate 8-limbed Spider-Man. I don't know. Riri Williams Punisher. Didn't know I needed that. That looks sick. There's a Gamora variant. She's wearing like a dress. Maybe she got married or something. There's a Moon Knight Blade that maybe is going to be in Marvel Zombies and looks like Mahershala Ali, but also looks like Moon Knight. There's a Iron Man Kingo. There's a Weapon X Thanos. That one looks sick, like Wolverine Weapon X program, but it was Thanos. Super cool. There's a Miss Marvel Wasp, which is interesting little mashup. And I can see why they didn't use some of these, because it seems like a lot of these ideas were first season ideas where it was just kind of like, hey, what if this character got smashed up with this character, and just combining 2 characters' powers, it became probably a little too repetitive for some people. There's a Maestro Doctor Strange variant. There's a Scarlet Duck Witch instead of Scarlet the Witch. Didn't know that was a thing, but okay. There looks like to be a dragon Loki horned Hawkeye. I don't know. Maybe that's like Shang-Chi's dragon if he was Hawkeye. I don't know. There's a Super Skrull Captain America. Maybe Super Skrulls, if that was going to be a big thing in Secret Invasion, maybe they were going to tie it in here. But Secret Invasion flopped hella hard, so they were kind of like, alright, let's forget about that one. And then the last little bit of stuff here, it looks like we got Hela bottom right, but she looks like a Bratz doll. We got Cersei and Howard Stark dancing. I don't know what that is. Top left, you got Silver Surfer Jubilee. She looks fantastic with the sparkles and her little cape, but she's Silver Surfer, like metallic. And then this other one, which just kind of looks like what BD called Deadpool if he was sitting on the Iron Throne, which is now I can't not see that. But it looks like he's got just a whole shit ton of guns strapped to his back. And some people said this was Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, potentially. I don't think so, but I don't think they would have had the balls to do that in just What If. You know, if they were going to do that, I think they would have made that Deadpool and Wolverine or Deadpool 3. But they pivoted. They went Deadpool Wolverine, so you can't blame them. It is what it is. But that is What If. To me, the finale was a great finale, and it was kind of emotional and epic. You were like, oh my god, this action just non-stop. Bah, 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 bah. Right? Like, it just kept going. I was like, damn, this is impressive stuff. But probably through the 3 seasons, I probably liked What If Season 2 because I actually sat down and watched it day per day. Like, you know, and I watched this one, but this one I didn't have as much want or energy, you know, like the other ones I actually watched, and that one had a Christmas themed episode during Christmas, this one didn't, you know, so I don't know, maybe Happy Hogan Saved Christmas was why I liked last year's during Christmas better. But the Bucky Winter Soldier, or the Red Guardian Winter Soldier Bucky episode was great. The Birdie was cool. I mean, some people were like, oh, I don't care about Birdie at all. Just the fact that Natasha Lyonne is Birdie is awesome, and some people are speculating that this will be the character she's playing in Fantastic Four. They had already said that that is not the character she's playing. She's playing a completely different character. But hey, that just gives us two characters that Natasha Lyonne could show up as in the MCU at any point in time. I'm not mad at it, you know? And I have more of the faith that I think she's going to be Herbie the robot and just have such a hilarious voice for this little robot thing. Or she's going to be like Ben Grimm's girlfriend type of thing, which her and either the Rock form of Ben Grimm or the cousin from The Bear, Evan Moss-Bachrach. I think they're going to be great together, so I don't know. This was a good season, good show overall. I'm not sure where it sits in my overall ranking of like the MCU, but it's certainly not my favorite stuff. It's certainly towards the bottom. And now that we've had other animation stuff come out, it's definitely not my favorite, because X-Men 97 was so sick, and that's definitely my favorite. You got your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man coming out early in January, so maybe that will be better than this. But 3 seasons in a couple of years, not so bad. I'm not mad at it. I have covered all 3 seasons on the channel, I believe. So go check out my other What If videos if you haven't. My name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. Links down below for my other social medias if you'd like to follow me. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you'd like to support the channel, the best way to do that is commenting below, liking this video, subscribing if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss future videos and you get notifications. My name is Big Cam once again. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. They're in 2025 at this point. Have a good new year, and I will see you guys next year. Peace.